Yes, indeed, we're starting late today. It's going to be a fairly short session, but let's cram it in. I feel everyone's like way more excited than usual, maybe because it's later and everyone's eating a carby dinner.
Well, you built it up as being fairly climactic.
I built up the downtime as last downtime ever, maybe. So who knows?
We have 6 players as well. Which is exciting.
We are okay. Well, let's. Are we on? Have we checked? If
We're on. We're on.
I'm looking.
In which case, boil up a pot, take a seat by the hearth, and enjoy a fine brew with the Journeyman Questers.
Journeyman Questers.
We are joined today by a very special guest. We have with us, let me turn his camera on.
Oh.
It's none other than him. Who is it, Aiden?
Who, me?
Oh my goodness, it's the master artificer who has brought such wonderful splendor into our lives over these last years.
It is none other than Mr. James Gifford of Mr. James Gifford's Assorted Magical Items.
Possibly the best magical items in D&D. The
Available in any respect.
Certainly our favourite.
Get yours
Thank
today.
you, such kind words.
James has boxes and boxes of them that he's just basically throwing away at this point.
These magical cards will get you hard. You want
There's
them.
a perpetual bonfire in his garden,
I'll get
burning
some
these
fucking, I can get some
fire
sales
before
for you.
they
I know
burn.
some fucking nerds. Let's go.
Wow, this I can feel already this is going to be a messy session.
A messy sesh.
We have a short session today, so let's get straight into our catch-up. We have the next round of our catch-ups, which, to inform James, people have been writing catch-ups for someone else to read as their character.
Oh, shit.
Oh, nice.
We've had a few. We had Aiden, you wrote one as Dutch for Dutch to read.
I did.
Josh, you wrote one for Zook to read, and Rupert, you wrote one for Brother Draug, Dylan to read.
Indeed.
So we've still got a few ways round. Today, it was Michael writing one for his brother, Dylan Gray. Have you had a chance to read it over yet, or are you on the fly?
No, I've had a look.
Going in raw.
I'll do my best. It's wonderful. Can I say it's amazing?
It is. It is amazing.
There is some challenging grammar, but that's part of the fun. Part of the
That's
fun.
a warrior poet.
That is a
kind
bit
of-
of an issue.
Dutch bleeds through.
What
An
kind of
aversion
music
to a
would you
comma.
like?
That's what I would say.
You want some kind of like tense music? What kind of thing do you want in the background? Theo.
Me. I just think like some just like epic fucking like let's go music.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Fucking let's do.
It's nothing to do with the catch up. Let's just fucking go.
Yeah. I'm just trying to channel my inner Dutch. That's all I want to say.
Okay, I got it. We're doing combat music.
Okay.
Nice.
Great. Are you ready?
Take it away.
As I stepped out of Zook's tree portal and onto the green grass lands of Igmiri, I was not greeted by the usual pings of sounds, branches and trees, and birds and songs on the wind. Instead, my senses were assailed. My nostrils were filled with the metallic tang of blood. My ears flooded with the sound of scarlet raindrops on the brim of my hat, and I was blind, truly blind. Having to open my eyes and use them was an odd experience. I could feel my eyes struggle to adjust to the light. My eyes gazed upon a black and starless void, apart from its sole inhabitant, a blood moon drowning the land in its crimson rain. I was alone. My companions were nowhere to be seen. I hear screams tear through the night, and they're coming from within Igmiri. As I run down the hill towards the gate house, I can see the guards lay broken and ripped on the floor, the gate left open. I listen for any sound, and again in the distance I hear a scream, different from the last scream. This one came from a man. I make haste towards the source of the sound and soon come to the journeyman's rest. It's the door flung from its hinges, lay on the cobblestone street. I put my back up against the wall and peer inside, but it's hard to make out the indistinguishable silhouettes, so I stoop over and quietly slide through the door. The floor is slick with blood and I almost slip, but I catch myself on the wall. I pause for a moment and listen. I can hear something wet, like a wet rag being dropped again and again. As I get closer, the sound becomes clearer and I can hear slurping and frenzied snapping teeth. Steady myself on the wall, catch my breath, and summon the Shadow Blade. I lean through the doorway into the stores behind the bar and I see the beast, a monstrosity hunched over its prey. I throw the Shadow Blade into spine of the monster, but it doesn't fall to the attack. Instead, it turns to face me, and before I can ready my sword, I intercept my foe. It's upon me. Its paws smash into my chest and knock me onto my back. The beast lurches at my neck with its fangs, but I move my head out of the way and move my head to the side and catch a better glance of my assailant. It's a wolf, a giant wolf, but not a dire wolf, even bigger still. Then I see its eyes, and they see me. 2 sets of the same eyes locked together. The beast lets out a growl and bites again, but this time I can't move. Hunt, stalk, rip, tear, consume. As I exit Zook's tree, I can feel the sun on my skin and hear the birds chirping. I let out an exhausted sigh and push the wolf to the back of my mind. For now, I'm home.
Sick. Mike, we noticed that rip and tear. We noticed until it is done. Beautifully read, T.
You can both have inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
I'll try and remember.
That was superb.
Try and remember.
Inspo.
So, you found yourselves back from the city of Xanthar, the capital city of the Empire. Heist complete. And things put back in their right place. Some strings tied up. And you were rewarded by coming back to the old town of Angmiri, the town, the free town, the town of the Great Lake, the town beyond the Empire and its governing rules. And indeed, stepping out of the tree, the familiar tree, by the Bellwood, you were greeted with the sight of the smoky wisps of oak coming up from the gentle thatched, roofed and shingled houses of Angmiri. The fort and Mirial across the river on the other side. People going about their day's business. Carts laden with wood and produce moving from the mill further down. People upriver fishing. Kids running through and playing. The sound of a town at ease and a town at peace. You briefly at the end of last session went to sleep because you were, I think, all pretty tired by that point. And you went to, what did we rename the guild? You guys came up with a different name for it, like right at the end of last session. Does anyone remember?
Do you mean the thing that I mispronounced?
The guild hall, yeah.
The hedge quarters.
The hedge quarters, that was it. Yes. Rufus, using his history check of knowledge to history his knowledge of hedges, renamed the guild hall the hedge. What the fuck was it?
Hedge quarters.
The hedge quarters. You saw a couple of people along the way. Elgrin met with you at the tree, the large oak tree that you exited, seemingly knowing that you were to arrive in his sort of strange way, and accompanied you sort of down to the guild and then went back to his house, Wayora's. You felt that business was to be taken care of upon the morrow, and you sat with some drinks and decided to bed at the hedge quarters. Not before seeing Silas, who's obviously there, and Gaze. Richter opening the door. I believe, I can't remember who it was. Someone was flung back by Gaze.
I don't think it was me.
It wasn't you. I think it was whoever was.
I think it was Ruthus. I think it was Ruthus.
I think it was Ruthus, because you were the first. You shouted,
I pictured his
Nathir!
tiny gnome body
Yes.
flying back.
You were flung back. You saw Silas and you saw Nathir, and immediately bossed Nathir to start, I don't know, counting coins or getting you a feast, or whatever it is that you get him to do.
To stock the pantry
Stock the pantry.
for many guests.
And you all to bed. Richter,
Oh, shit.
it has been some time since the stone steps have greeted you. Step, step, step. The cold, familiar step. Pushing open the huge marble doors and looking up, you can see they only go maybe 3 or 4 feet above you before it is broken at the top. Pushing into the main chamber of the astral library, there is no roof. Chunks of stained glass and masonry and marble float about you as you kind of hover forwards. The place, the tapestry in front of you, the mosaic of the great sigil of the Seeker, lies cracked. You don't even feel the rock beneath the library. You know, you feel yourself, or the whole thing, slowly tilting, although gravity seems to be not but an issue here. And using your mind, you push yourself forwards. No lights glow up the banisters, for the banisters only stretch up 1 flight before breaking off into the strange cosmic sky. What do you do?
Nothing is permanent. Marble cracks, stone breaks, wood burns or rots. But knowledge endures. And Richter does what he always does when he comes here. He takes his codex, he flicks through the pages that have been most recently filled, the sigils that were carved beneath the cubic gate, the horrific, vast spider creature that he sketched. All of this knowledge, everything that he remembers writing down from Xanthar, and he puts it where he always puts it, into its allotted slots on the bookcase.
Walking over to the said bookcase, you notice it to be barren of books. No knowledge lies here in this library anymore, if it even is called a library. But there's something that draws you there. That same hunger is within you. Recently rekindled. You place your codex in the spot where it should have gone. Even though no books, no nameless books line the various shelves. But placing it in feels right. And as you do, you feel a surge around you. You feel something. Wind, energy, your patron. There is a connection, and you feel it. Your patron is not dead.
No.
Your patron is not in pain, but your patron is not free, but never was. You remember seeing those great chains locking whatever it was, that misty figure, within the rock underneath this library. And now if these Githyanki have indeed taken the great rock in which the Seeker lies, they are in no more danger in terms of imprisonment than they previously were. Why would these creatures block the connection between you and your seeker if the great chains were not to get in the way between you two? The library may be no more, but the seeker lives on, and so does the hunger, and so does the work. And slowly you awake, and rather than waking in a sudden sweat or a jolt like from some nightmare like your previous streams have been, you simply close your eyes in the library and open them to the morning light of Angmiri. Your codex still there, and incredibly the knowledge still remains in your codex. It is not gone.
The library, they can take the books. What is it but ink on parchment? They can smash the book stands. What are they but assembled wood? As long as I walk this earth and others, the knowledge lives on. The seeker lives on. And I will be but a better champion for them in the coming days.
Zook, with your high passive perception, maybe walking the corridor down to breakfast, you hear Richter talking to himself.
Yes.
What is your passive perception now? 25? 26?
25.
25, yeah. You can fucking hear everything in this house. Things that you don't want to hear, and things that maybe you do.
So I float down, notice that, and just sort of peek in, and not really think much of it. Zook has shared many a wild campfire with Richter where he's said and done strange things in his sleep. He's used to it. It's almost a comfort to him as he floats on back downstairs, dressed in pajamas and a bedrobe. I'm not going to RP this, but basically Zook is just going to feel jovial and like he fancies playing a prank. He's going to sit in the armchair that Rufus normally sits in. He's going to alter himself to look like Rufus, and then he's going to scream for Nathir to come and give him a foot rub by the fireplace.
You dick.
No role needed. Nathir wouldn't think anything of it. You know, he wouldn't think that Lord Rufus, ex-mayor of Angmiri, would dare prank him with anything, let alone one of his companions of the Gypsies of Fortune. And indeed, the foot rub is good, and it isn't clearly the first time that Rufus has received a foot rub from Nathir. So downtime. I have all your notes, and I'm going to essentially narrate us through the week. Some of your things lined up, so some of you may be going places. Zook is available to ship people through trees, I imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been asked.
Yes, so how many can you do a day?
3.
Yeah, so we're fine. We can go fucking anywhere we want in the world.
Yeah.
So you can have a week's downtime in Angmiri, but also anywhere, basically. So yeah, that's how it works now. So we're going to start with Richter. One of your first things you wished to do in the week, Richter, was to go and see Waylon. To hand him Wendelin, his brother, hand him the journal that you could not decipher, and also maybe catch up with the old fart himself.
Yes.
We won't RP it, but I imagine that Waylon is happy to see. He doesn't say it himself, but he might take. I am glad that my brother was unable to defeat you. And he is able to indeed decipher this. It is he says rudimentary magic, just like the things that his brother would do. And he's glad that you threw that letter away, the previous letter that he thinks was definitely either somehow tracking you or able to scry, or it could have been a manner of things.
Your advice.
The journal reveals that it reveals some of his notes on you, It is a little bit like a kind of diary entry. There are notes on the Gypsies, and it's sort of like a villain's diary where they're like we
should frame this.
It's like the room was burning, yet I knew that it was them. Yes, the Cardinal of the Lunagate had died, but I'm not fussed about that. Like, good riddance. Couldn't give a fuck about it. His suspicions were correct. There's even a kind of final entry in there from the party where he's made some notes and even some quite nice sketches saying, Balthazar seems off this eevening. I can't put my finger on it. It is unlike him to deny me a drink and leave me on the stair. And then some, basically, how dare he insult me in such ways. I must look into this. And that's
you were writing in a diary at a party. Lame prick.
I mean, it's a really self-indulgent, egotistical sort of thing. You also,
I like to think you're those shitter to write it as well. Just taking a dump.
We're getting those entries on the Gypsies framed and put around the headquarters as well.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
You also spend some time with Silas. Her common is getting better, although it's still in its sort of she's living in this other country, this other continent. She's getting a bit better at it, but the main thing is she's saying that she's really enjoying the town. She's made good friends and good connections. People seem to accept her really well, which tends to be the thing of Ungmiri. She's been hanging out a lot in the Fortune's Rest, helping Varian
good.
Rebuild the tavern. She says that she seems to really like Varian and says that he's really funny and he's a bit like an old, she's got an uncle that reminds her of him. He's always drunk and she quite enjoys that.
She just laughs at him.
You can't understand his misogynism.
I imagine that perhaps you show her the lantern that you found in Xanthar, and she
soul lantern.
She indeed confirms it to be the design, at least from the kind of area that she was from, and she takes it off you and says she's gonna maybe kind of have a investigate of it and have a look and see what it does.
Well, perhaps we'll go there one day.
She would like that. Putting gaze into her large satchel, her little beholder sidekick creature. She kind of goes off. She says she's going round to see Arabella and Jin, who are sort of her age, like early 20s. She's going over to see them this evening, or the day. They're doing some kind of thing. They're going off hunting in the woods, and she's not very good at that, so she's going to
camaraderie.
Yeah, she seems to be fitting in, and it's nice. You contact Siegfried, I imagine through sending, and Sigrid's made it back to the scabbard. She says that all seems to be quiet in the Varamark. There haven't been many attacks or sightings of any Shivra. Some school have been sighted. Obviously, Fieldstown is still occupied, but it would appear that there is a resistance in the Yimjord, the Yim Forest, which I imagine you had told her probably about, with the strange folk that lived within the wood.
The Woodwards.
She says that the palace in no, the Yimjord was where you went. It was the guys who were like, what allegiance do you hold? They were like,
oh yeah.
She says that the Timpkins family have been reinstated back into the palace.
Good.
Although the scabbard seems to have much more power and more favour in the town, and they're re-electing basically new oligarchs. The population has thinned. The Varamark, there's lots of empty villages, empty towns, and there's still the whole kind of mystery in case of the fact that loads of people were shipped off or taken as like war prisoners, and she's going to look into it. But
No
she's
doubt.
keeping contact. She said she visited the church on her way back, and they actually let her in. She was a little resistant at first, but it's on the way. She met Father Aureus, and she said that he doesn't seem too bad.
That's about as good as you're going to get.
For a demon minotaur kind of
Yeah,
fucker. So,
yeah.
Little bit arrogant, she thinks. Little bit like
Really?
he knows a bit too much.
She thinks. Okay.
Yeah, she thinks. So then, moving on, we have Dutch. Dutch, you are ferried, getting to Miri, maybe a couple of days of drinking. You're ferried back to Xanthar by Ruthus to ask about a tattoo. Randala is confused to see you again, but she knows some people, and she feels that she can pull a few favors, and she doesn't say that she owes you, but you did give her like a lot more gold extra on top. So yes, she asks the neighboring gang in Xanthar, the Crabs, which are the other dockyard, like they're the east docks, you're the west docks. Who are basically keeps themselves mostly, and where the dock rats are more like less seafaring, more in the docks. The Crabs, most of them are like off a lot. They're kind of merchants and pirates. And there's a couple of members, at least one member who knows how to do some tattoos, and he has one that is untested and he wants to try out. And so you spend some time getting a delicious tattoo, which you can describe to everyone else at some point. It does take a while, like it's a few days of being tattooed on the back of your hand, and even for your unmatched constitution, unlike no person has ever seen, it is still painful. It seems to hurt not just the physicality of you, but like also your like psyche, your mental state. But you pray to Luthic, and she sets you on the right path. Ruthus and Dylan, you have quite a few that are linked. So first of all, Ruthus, you spend some time showing Celeste around, showing her the sights, introducing her to Waora and Elgrin and Fleet. As she well, not introducing, she knows them. They take her in like one of their own. They don't seem to have any ill will against her, at least. You obviously explain the kind of the situation and how things panned out. And Waora still seems, maybe a little standoffish, but she trusts you, so takes her in at least and shows her around. And you discuss the matter of Talura. She's currently at the church, and Waora says if you are going, she would like to go with you.
Cool. Okay.
But without the boys.
Yeah.
Elgrin stays silent, but Fleet protests. He's like, I'm 18. I should be able to go and see my mum, whatever. And she quiets him and says that it is not time yet. She's not in a good way. And Dylan, you also wanted to go because the church is your home, and you'd heard that Morans had returned. So through the tree you go, and you are met straight away by Hammond, spear in hand. You're almost taken aback at first, thinking like he looks different, but then you remember no, Richter just changed into him in a flamboyant, extravagant version, and the old, the real Hammond is a bit of a letdown compared to that version of him. But he's happy to see you and says that Moran's has indeed returned.
What does he do when the tree opens? Because I need to have this just a little bit of RP just in terms of the tree.
I will say for the sake of brevity that
No, I'm not going to RP with him. I just want you to do his initial.
I can imagine he's not on guard when you come through, but he sees you come in and he gives you a look that says like, you best not have come through that fucking tree.
It's like a red leaf
6 or 7 big scars down it where you've pulled it apart to come through. And he says, you are not leaving through it. You hear me? You walk down and you find another. There's one.
He's not with us, is he?
Oh no, Zook wouldn't be, would he? Yeah. Oh, he
The
tells
best
you.
part is I'm going to go back to the same tree.
Yeah. Well, you would have opened it and then let them through, and then
Yeah.
something.
Oh, amazing.
Moran's is indeed there, and Moran's greets you by running through the halls of the church and embracing you tightly. I don't know if you want to describe Moran's to everyone else.
Sure. So, Moran's is this has you see this figure, and those of you that are with Dylan are taken aback by the beauty of this individual. They have impeccable dark red skin and these incredible sort of ram's horns that curl back. Very, very, very beautiful in the face, very sharp features, very elegant, sharp pointed teeth, deep red eyes as well. And they've got a few adornments upon their horns, and they're wearing sort of like very accentuating long fitting robes. And you're like, oh, is this, you kind of think, oh, is this a woman? And you're unsure of their gender. They have a very sort of feminine energy, but you know, when they approach properly, you do realize that this is indeed a man, but just very beautiful and a little kind of knows it a little bit, has a bit of a sort of a cocky swagger to it as well.
Oh yeah.
Very quite tall as well, about 6 foot tall. Yeah.
Moran's embraces you and asks how you've been, but and looks into your eyes, you know, holding your eyes open and almost slightly fussing over you.
I think so. Rufus, who's there, you sort of see something in Dylan that you haven't really seen before, like the spark of sort of a romantic relationship. You know, like Dylan's Draug is this fairly reserved character, but you see this sort of like, you know, an actual sort of connection and love between these two individuals.
I'm gonna roll an insight check. It's a -1.
It's a -1.
They fucking hate each other.
Good friend.
Yeah. Rufus gives you a knowing nod and is like, they are good friends, close friends even. He tells you that I guess you sit down and you know, reminisce, and Moran's essentially catches you up on where you didn't go or what you missed in terms of the Varamark.
Yeah.
Moran's, after the attack on the Church of the High Hunt, if you remember, the description was that they raided with some Shivra and some schools, the kind of Goliaths, and stole the axe and headed in different directions. The truth was that Christian Blackfriar had Blackfriar. Man, I get them so confused because it's
Blackwood.
Christoph Blackfriar and Christian Blackwood. Blackwood took the axe during that and went off, you know, to north through the Imjord over the pass. But unbeknownst to Moran's headed southeast towards Barrowsborg, following and tracking the with a couple of other members, following and tracking some of the school that had attacked, thinking they would have the axe. They need to reclaim it. And then Barrowsborg was subsequently fucked. Do you remember? You flew over it.
Oh shit!
And it was the one that was completely decimated in the war. And Moran's was there during the attack. Was really injured. You can tell actually now. They walk with maybe a slight limp still, and was essentially completely out and slowly nursed back to health. And your sendings wouldn't go through because they were unconscious. They were nursed back to health by luckily by some nice Varamarkians that they happened to stumble across, and then eventually he made her way back to the church. And had you gone to Barrowsborg, that would have been part of that. But you didn't. You flew over it because you were like, "Fuck that! We need to get to the city," which is fair, you know. And it's great to see Moran's, and you're so relieved at the fact that you assumed them to be dead, or potentially killed in the assault, or gone missing, and it is emotional to you, probably more emotional than a lot of things that have recently happened for Brother Draug.
It's a different side to his.
Yeah, it's this life, and it's the most sort of attachment that you have in that life. Obviously, your brother is there, but your brother is Dylan, and Draug has sort of his own nuances. You meet with Talura. Aureus informs you that she is being held here, but you are surprised to see the fact that she is walking around and free. You find her in the like mess hall down beneath the church, eating essentially like porridge, and looking almost sort of shameful. Aureus seems to have a method, and tells you before meeting her that she isn't doing well, and she certainly shouldn't be allowed to leave. Like there is still like a remnant or an echo about her from her time. She needs time in order to kind of be decontaminated, or like the cult and her beliefs need to leave her. That like taint is still there, although not physical. Wayora sits with her daughter for a time alone, and they talk, and you watch from across the cafeteria, and Wayora seems extremely stern with her daughter, and you've seen Talura in her prime, and how bold and sort of brash she can be, but she looks like such a daughter at this point in her mother's eyes and Wayora's sort of glare. And it doesn't end well. There's some kind of argument and conflict, and Wayora storms off, saying that she wishes to go back to Emiri. She is not ready, let alone to see her children, her Wayora's grandchildren. If there's anything specific you want to do with Talura, Rufus, or was it just check up and see how it's going?
Yeah, it was mostly to check and see how she was, and if she was fit to go back, or if there was any sort of compromise that could be made between them.
Aureus
obviously
is
not.
like set in his ways. He even if you get the sense, even if you asked to take her back, he wouldn't let you. He's like, she's here now. It's like rehab for her, basically. The church is purging her of the things that have happened.
Yeah, I think Rufus can see that Aureus has his own ways of, dealing with something like this, and he's very capable and he's an honourable person. So Rufus trusts that she is in good hands.
And Dylan, is there anything else you wish to accomplish while you're at the church?
Yeah, I think at some point I'd like to take Rufus and Aureus aside and sort of inquire about the wall beneath the church. Potentially,
Indeed.
like go and have a look and see what the situation is, and sort of get Aureus's insights into sort of what's going on. Has there been any changes? Is there anything we should know about?
Aureus tells you he doesn't take you down, but he says that once again the wall has changed and shifted. The thing that he says is this what's the word? Not destiny. The
prophecy.
prophecy. The thing that he calls the prophecy that changes has changed again. I'm gonna have to find really quick the notes on what it says. I totally forgot about that. I don't have the notes on me for what it said before exactly, but that doesn't matter because because it's shifted.
I think Dylan, Brother Draug, will sort of like he's kind of still confused by what the wall, what this is, this sort of ancient mural is, and what it means, and what Aureus thinks kind of lies behind it. Is it like he kind of understands that there's something trapped behind it, but he's unsure of what, like he understands that Aureus thinks that he's involved in this prophecy somehow, but he's unsure of what to expect in terms of what he might have to do, what might face him and his friends.
Aureus says that the vault, the door, this thing that even he's charged to protect and doesn't fully know what is behind, but he knows it is a dark power. It is a power that when the time comes will reveal itself to whomever it is to take that. He says that the prophecy has changed. Now it says, or not changed, but there's a new writing.
Yeah.
It says, time will tell, and tell will time. He is unsure of what this means, but through his experience, he thinks that seeing as the Varamark is now calm, it isn't the right time. He doesn't believe that, whereas before he felt like the time was upon you for something to happen, and now he doesn't feel like it's right. He thinks something will happen, but he's unsure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You can spend a few days. I imagine you probably spend a few days at the church, whereas Rufus perhaps
at least
returns.
At least a day.
And you
I don't know if when Rufus was intending to go back to Soul Reach.
To take Celeste.
Yeah, I don't know when that is, but I think Dylan would quite like to accompany and go to Soul Reach as well.
Okay. In which case...
But that can sort of fit in, because I didn't have a huge amount else to do, really.
Yeah. Okay, in that case, you eventually return to Ungmiri, in which you both go see Kunda. Kunda is excited to see you, telling you about all the things he's got up to with the industry in the town. And indeed, he produces 10 fire arrows.
Ooh.
The tips are charged with essentially a small black powder mechanism which will explode on impact. They will deal, if you want to write this down, 2d6 fire damage, like extra. And that is a 5-foot little radius of whatever you hit.
Oh,
Nice.
awesome. Okay.
Sick.
What's the radius? 5 foot.
Just 5 foot. So anything standing next to the target you hit will also take 2d6 fire.
Sick.
You talk to him about the shield that you wish to be made, and he nods and says he can attempt to get this done. It might take a while, but
I'll give him whatever funds he requires, and potentially some more funds for some more arrows if he gets time. Like I would say, there's no rush, but just
he says he's been working on some.
Wanna...
This has given him some ideas for the future, so he's
exactly
on some
ideas.
others. Rufus, you hand over the pistol.
Yes.
In which he is very interested in, and he says it will take some time, but if he can take it and study it and maybe augment it and create some bullets, it might take a bit, but he's happy to.
While we're on the Kunda train, can we powder some diamonds? Some of the diamonds we've got.
Oh yeah, fucking! You take some out of the bag with holding, and he can powder some for you during the week.
Nice.
Yeah, just deduct the amount of gold from the kitty and turn it into diamond dust. That's fine.
Tashi,
Yes.
sorry, could you? I sent you a question in Messenger. If that's all right.
Oh
sorry.
yeah, sorry. I'll check that. That's on the wrong thing. Let me change that. No. Damn it.
Oh no, what have I caused?
It's just OBS being annoying. It's on the wrong tab. There you go. It's on the right tab now. Basically, when I tabbed to Facebook, it showed my Facebook. What would that be from, Mike?
Because I got eaten by the spider, and I got 1 point of taint.
Oh, you did get 1 point of taint. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh, taint.
Right in the taint.
Yes, you would 100% feel something weird going on inside you.
Okay, I'd ask Zook and Richter what the fuck is going on. Like the natural guy and the fucking just science intellect man who speak good.
So we can speed through this, I will say that Zook, you are able to identify it, and indeed, Dutch has a small spider egg within him. That can actually be removed with a great.
Oh, you're gonna be a mother. This is beautiful.
Yeah, this is a moment of joy.
I feel like Arnie.
I'm hearing Kate Bush music.
You can tell him that this will eventually grow and eat his insides, and he will die.
I don't want the baby. Kill the baby.
But a greater restoration will destroy it.
Can I not just punch the egg?
Happily purge that from his body.
In which case, it is done.
Cinder needs a snack.
Zook, you pop to the Aeocene and request that the other Archdruids, so Bellum Kanda and Thiazi, come to Ingmiri to not only see it, but also to bless the grove in a great ritual. And as such, you invite various people to the grove, which will happen at the end of the week. But in the meantime, you request some new garb for yourself, which you can describe when the time comes. And we're going to basically RP that tiny little bit right at the end because it's really cool. Yeah. Some other things, some interesting things happen during this time of you kind of ferrying people about. The dragon, which the gem dragon, in which delves in your grove, seems to be back. and seems to be keen to meet these other Archdruids. And there's like a whole bit where Thiazi turns up. We did this already. Thiazi turns up and the little school of druid kids that are like learning, he like scares them and he becomes a big Orruk, but by the end of the day he's lying on his side and all the kids are like jumping on the big Orruk and like moving around. Belenkander is like 9 months, 10 months pregnant even. Like she's so big, and she's just bottom half is just snake. You know, she's just like moving about. And they chat with the gem dragon and the trees. You know, all the old the maple and the old grumpy pine and choke all come and meet with the druids. And you plan this ceremony to be done at the end. Is there anything else anyone wants to do? You want to go to Soul Reach real quick and drop Celeste off?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, whenever she wanted to go back, basically.
I think probably like towards the end of the week, you take her back, and you meet with Christoph again, who's oh my love, I've been so worried. You've been gone for so long, and we've had no contact. And he's like driveling, and he says, "Where is the babe? Where is the babe? Is it okay?" And she has to sort of tell him that it's fucking in heaven or wherever it's gone, like in this place. And he's crushed. He is crushed, and he goes into a real deep depression over his child going. But
I mean, you would.
but you know, he's not a particularly nice guy anyway, so whatever.
Shame for that.
Dylan, what did you want to do in Soul Reach?
I would like to, if it's okay with the rest of the party, take some funds and purchase that sweet ass bow.
Just steal it.
Yes, you certainly can. I have it in my notes somewhere. Let me see if I can find the Soul Reach notes.
Was it like a storm bow or something?
No, I've got the Bow of Storms.
You have the Bow of Storms. The other one was the
Hunting.
Something like it was crazy.
Well, these notes are from a long time ago.
Oh, sorry.
You know what? I'm gonna have to find that because I have no idea where it is in here. It's somewhere.
And whilst after I've done this, I'll take Ruthus to one side and I'll give him the Bow of Storms.
Oh snap! Nice. You know what? I think it's in the binder. I think it's.
Oh yeah.
Here.
No worries. Just do it another time, Tash. We're not.
Okay.
But Ruthus, you can have the Bow of Storms if you wish.
Oh, nice. Ruthus kneels to receive it, and then stands back up and gives you a knowing nod, and says that you honour him with this gift.
Okay, so the end of the week, Zook invites you all to the Grove for a ceremony. The druids are there, and along with Rinnick, the now human old man, very old for a gnome, Arabella with Nkong, Aaron and Jin, Silas and Gaze, Waora, Elgrin and Fleet, Kunda, not Waylon. He says he couldn't give a fuck, and his old bones wouldn't take him that far.
Is Wiggins Nigel there?
Sure.
No, Wiggins Nigel fucking betrayed you guys. And...
No, he didn't. Nick
sorry, that's Nick's. That's Nick's. Yeah, that's Nick's. No, Wiggins Nigel died, didn't he? Wiggins Nigel was the one that died. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
He died in Cinderhelm. He was the guy who
got hung.
Yeah, he got hung.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, Wiggins Nigel.
He just liked to make soup.
So, some of the other gnomes come along too. I imagine like Umtrau,
Luther Umtrau.
Luther Umtrau comes with the druids, and
Gardener.
the other druids come along.
Yeah.
And even Clax the Bad and the Awful. Comes
From
with
the
the druids
Aesir.
from the Aesir, hearing that he wishes to meet with his master and see what the deal is, and he's owed some gold apparently. He says, Richter, his boss, he wishes gold, and in this ceremony, Zook arrives along with the two archdruids to bless the grove. And they perform a ritual similar to one that you've seen before, using shrub grass from the riverside and various like wooden bowls and buckets of water, and spread it around, casting that same orc ritual that young child, the young orc, had learnt and taught you in the Aesir. Zook, do you want to describe the robes you're wearing?
Basically, Zooks, as he appears, he has these long white robes on that they're just like pure white. They're made of kind of quite a thick material, very like sort of potato sack, like in like Hessian, but somehow embroidered, just with thousands of tiny white leaves all over them. And he's got sort of this like very, very pale blue like sash belt like tied around the midriff, and the robe kind of comes over, and the leaves kind of fall back over the shoulders, and embroidered on the front there's this very, very pale blue mountain range with a very tall brown trunk of a tree, and the canopy that stretches across almost wide over the peak tops, the summits, and above that a few rogue clouds kind of like floating past. It's really, really nice, like beautifully trim sort of thing. It's like simple but very, very elegant at the same time. And the robes kind of fall just below his feet, so you almost can't see his feet as he's like floating, as he sort of floats into the grove and welcomes everyone.
You notice as well that Zook's blue tattoo that lines his face up to a point here has been extended up across his forehead. Where it meets, it now pushes out and twirls in like almost spiral-like wind patterns that arc sort of up over his forehead and above his eyebrows. Like two gusts of air converging and then twirling together in tandem. He looks the part, the Archdruid of Air himself. And as the ceremony takes place and you all are instructed to sort of hold hands in the circle around, the children, the druid children that are sort of like learning, and as well as some of their parents are there, and a strange sort of like dwarfish looking creature with sort of crustacean-y gem type pieces are there. Varian jogs in, smelling like beer towards the end, and quickly like pushes a couple people out of the way and joins the circle. And you even see Malachus there. Malachus, his sort of giant tiefling form standing there. You know, he has his own herb healing sort of a doctor's shop within Angmiri you actually never go to.
Malachus' Marvelous Medicines.
Malachus' Marvelous Medicines, that is it. He's there too. Going, friends. And the ceremony sort of comes to a crescendo, and you see light begin to glow around in a familiar way, blessing the earth beneath you. Small flowers and shrubs begin to kind of burst out from the soil beneath your feet and rush around you. It is more prevalent underneath the feet of the Archdruids. It kind of rushes out from them. But Zook, with your high passive perception, you notice a couple of others rushing out to sort of meet in the middle. Others clearly with some kind of innate connection or power. Rufus, the flowers beneath his sandals burst forth kind of weaving and colliding with everyone else's in the middle, as well as some of the druid children, some of their early abilities seemingly showing as vines and creepers kind of crawl forth. But also Elgrin. Flowers all of a dark purple bloom in front of him with his eyes closed as they push and roll over each other, cascading towards the middle and curling up with everything else. And as they do, you begin to cast a spell. If you'd like to describe what you do.
So, as this kind of this abundance of friendship and memories in human and humanoid form encircles the grove, Zook looks around and he draws on the positive energies, not just from the natural world, but of the social world that is new, that he didn't have before, this world spanning miles. And all of that energy manifest in this bloom. He puts the staff on the ground and it floats up. As the tree floats up, the roots kind of coil and spiral down, sinking in to the earth. And he looks to his left at Thiazi, the great hulk of his hairy, muscular form, breathing in, exhaling. This kind of great musk sort of blowing out of his huge nostrils, the pulse of his heart ringing in Zook's ears. He looks to his right, sees Belemkanda, not just one heartbeat, but two, one throbbing in her quite well pregnant body, and her sort of singing, humming, kind of reaching a crescendo into the canopy. Zook looks back up at the sky where the gap in the canopy lies, and clouds swirl above them. Pure white clouds with brilliant black lightning kind of cackling and cracking between each bolt. As it's slowly, almost in slow motion, a bolt of lightning that's quiet. There's no thunder. It just falls down to the ground in silence and falls into the stone in the middle of the grove. And the stone cracks. And as the two stones crack, a shoot of a new plant, every single color of each bloom that's come from his friends, there's a different leaf that contains each of these multicolors, like a rainbow, emerges from within the broken stone. And he says, "What lives, begins, once, moves through the world, and then falls to its knees and perishes. This is the cycle. May it never be broken. And may the circle of hands that we now stand within be that circle." He's done.
And you watch on and look up, and light begins to envelop Zook. Greenish light that spirals around his head, and growing from the sides of his head, two gnomish ears return where they were cut so long ago.
Yes!
And the ritual is complete. Apologies, James. We've gone on quite well with this.
Oh no, not at all.
However,
I'm having a great time listening.
The week comes to an end, and you feel the ever-growing presence of the remaining stones still out there. What are you doing, Gypsies?
Well,
do we know where another stone is?
We do. There's one within the Feywild, I believe.
Hmm.
We haven't turned our attention to it in a while, but the Moonstone still lies in the land of the Fey.
And the psychic, the woman in Solreach, before we were transported to Xanthar, she told me of 2 more that had been found, yet not recovered by the enemy.
Where are these?
She was enigmatic, but I believe they were in a hot place.
I think one lay in the volcano on an island, the other in the depths of the ocean. So
I do not know how we could travel to such a place. The center of a volcano or the bottom of the ocean?
I can travel to both places.
Yes.
Perhaps this is a solo mission.
Let's try and deal with one thing. The Feywild. Zook, you've mentioned on occasion that this is somewhere you can take us.
It is.
1 stone will be enough, let alone 3. So let's deal with what we can.
If we get 1 more stone, we'll have 10, which is at least half the ones that we know exist. We could at least balance the scales, as it were.
One would hope. Listen, I've been doing some thinking about the situation brewing in the Varamark. This might just be a hunch, and maybe terribly wrong, but I can't get over the thought that Oshkar Silvermark is involved somehow.
You think?
I don't know. But it's something to at least... it's something to at least think about, at least. I don't know.
Well,
You're right, he does seem to show up at the most convenient times. It's quite an eclectic mix of followers this Bren, this Lich King, is collecting.
And he certainly valued immortality quite highly.
he did.
And, what is a lich if it is not death magic incarnate?
That's a good point. He could well be involved. To be honest, anything this dark and foreboding, I wouldn't be surprised if he had his filthy fingers somehow dipped into it.
And the
Is he the one
Oshkar
that-
is still out.
Is he the one that took Anchor?
I believe so.
Aye, it was when he came to the town. Took hostage so many of our friends that we turned around and Anchor was gone.
Interesting.
But then
Indeed.
he could be in league with the Dark Elves as well. The Drow.
If the Lich King is the one responsible for the Shankar, causing chaos across the land, spawning them to do his work, then think what he could do with a legion of autonomous beings, ones that felt no pain, did whatever he wanted, he could control.
It's concerning. Goes against all principles of life and decay. I don't like it. We need to find those stones. We know where one is for sure. I think it would be best if we went to the Feywild.
Yeah.
Do we agree?
Hmm.
I
Well-
think we do.
If we're off on the road again, then I suppose I should equip you with some things that I believe will be useful. You may have seen walking around Ungmiri that Zook was regularly going into the Crystal Pool, which was Rinnick's shop, and occasionally around lunchtime they'd sort of open the door and they'd both kind of hover out, sort of with their sleeves rolled up, and take out a pipe, and they'd be sitting on a bench outside smoking. And then after a while, as this plume of smoke billowed out of the shop, they'd head back inside, and then you wouldn't see them for another 3 hours. Zook basically explains that he's brewed up quite a few potions.
Me and Zook had to do a separate downtime together in order for him to do all of the rolls.
Just to roll all the rolls. So for Richter, you have 1 potion of elongated healing.
Oh,
so that is, and actually, Dutch and Rufus, you also have those. The 3 combat.
Don't worry about explaining what they do. I think you can explain when they use
You
it.
just write them down. So Richter, 1 potion of elongated healing. You have an elixir of health.
oh.
And you have a potion of hill giant strength.
Man, it's almost like
Nice.
which member of the party dies the most.
Yeah, track
I
records.
really, that's what came to my mind.
And you won't think of using them when time comes.
No,
well,
I'll be on like
I'm gonna keep
two
it written
health.
down.
I've made
to
my
remind
best,
you.
and I'll just accept it.
Dutch, you
Yep.
have a potion of growth,
Potion.
Oh, yes, a potion.
a
Use the potion at the headquarters.
Ocean of blue chew.
an orange potion that has an eyeball in it, which looks
Ooh.
uncannily like the eyeball carrot that we found in the maze. It's
Okay.
a potion of unknown origin.
Oh, that's
So you
exciting.
can write potion of unknown origin.
Wait,
you
what's
have
the
a
unknown
potion.
origin one?
That's the
eye.
carrot.
Yeah.
The eye. Yeah. You also have a potion of elongated healing,
Oh, thank you.
and you have a potion of cloud giant strength.
Oh,
What the fuck is that?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Cloud.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know what this one is, just quickly.
I just think, look, I'm just,
You'll
stop
find out.
talking. My handwriting went bad and I'm
So
struggling.
the hill giant strength puts your strength, I think, to like 22,
21,
21. The cloud giant strength is like
27.
it's 27.
Unlimited.
It's 27. Yeah.
For 1 hour.
watch Dutch build a fucking house.
Rufus, you have 1 potion of fire breath.
Oh. Oh, fuck.
That's how happy Mike is.
You have a potion of fire resistance and a potion of necrotic resistance.
Yeah.
And you also have a potion of elongated healing. Just the 1.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan,
I'm going to make a separate list. Okay, yeah.
you have a potion of climbing.
Yep.
You have an oil of slipperiness.
Oh.
Yeah.
Basically a bottle of lube.
It's like a
And-
ninja loadout.
You have an elixir of brilliance.
What the fuck does that do?
Okay.
Cool. That's it.
It's the
Amazing.
it's the intelligence version of your of the strength ones.
Oh, fuck.
I don't think it's quite as good as the cloud giant strength one, but anyway. How are you getting to the
I mean, this is
Feywild?
super useful.
So,
We fly
Um,
there?
Zook. Yeah, just is it in the sky? Can we try the sky
Fly upwards and don't stop.
until the oxygen gets in? No, Zook will pull out his cloak of Fey Seasons, which is from the Feywild, place it on one half of the stone, and he will gather everyone round. Get everyone to pick one of the leaves, which is slowly turning autumnal, I imagine, with the seasons, and eat the leaf, and then basically cast planar shift or plane shift, as we all the ground just opens up and swallows us whole.
So the way we rule plane shift, James, you'll find this interesting, is that usually you have to have a tuning fork tuned to the plane of existence.
Yeah.
I rule it that you need a magical item from that realm in order to get there. That's the focus, and Luckily for Zook, he's been there before, and his cloak, the cloak of Fey Seasons, is from there. So they've managed to get places before through items instead, which I think is cool. Part of the spell, Plane Shift, allows you to try and go to a specific location within that, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Is
in
there
which
somewhere
case,
that you're trying to get to specifically?
yes. So I remember in Valentine's note,
Yes.
he says that he intended to take the stone to the summer court.
Mm-hmm.
So I will travel to the summer court.
Okay.
Did you write that down?
Wait,
Actually, just remembered.
Tashi,
Yes.
before we go,
Yes.
was there any? Oh, what's it called? Was there any? It's like a type of gem that we found in the mountain once. It's like a magical infused type of gem stone.
A Quantium.
Maybe.
That's the stone, the liquid stone of Ruth's hometown.
No,
not Ruth's,
there was-
of Zook's home.
No, I remember we found some once when we were trying to fly through the mountain and there was like lava and shit, and we tried to pick up a bunch.
Wait, when?
Oh, there were a load of gems. This was in the Fire Realm.
Oh, in
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Fire
yeah.
Realm.
But they were like a specific type of gem, and I remember saying, we need to keep these because this is what the Fey royalty love to receive as a gift.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Are there any of those in the bag of holding from the vault?
No, there wouldn't be.
Okay,
But do you still have those?
I don't know.
We would
Are
have,
we not?
but they were in the bag.
I
of
think
holding,
like
but
didn't
they're
I
not
don't
found.
think you picked up. I remember Dutch picked up like a big fucking egg, like head-sized gem,
Yeah.
and you smashed it up and made it into like powders and sold some of it or something like that. So you probably don't have it. I want to say.
If they've thought is Dutch smashed it and sold it, it's probably right.
Really, quickly before you go, are you leaving gold here from the bag of withholding? Or are
Yeah,
you
we probably
keeping it
should.
full?
Something for Nathia's going to need some maintenance money, right?
Like, are you keeping it
Yeah.
basically full
Yeah,
of
we
all
really
the
should
gold,
just
or
take
are you leaving it here?
That
No,
doesn't sound right.
We should take a large sum, but nowhere near as large as we have, I imagine.
Okay.
Take
Yeah,
a third of it?
So you
Yeah.
keeping like 30,000.
30k ish.
Okay, 30k.
Yeah.
The rest. Where are you keeping it?
Under Nathia's bed.
It would just fill it all up. Waylon says that there are vaults that you could put it in the Miriel.
As we put it in
Sounds
these
good.
vaults, does the Ingmiri economy just suddenly get really good?
Is that how it works? It's going to crash it horribly.
I've got a few items I'd like to leave, but I'll just sort that out
Yeah.
in
we
between
can sort
sessions.
that. So you cast at the end of this ritual. Zook begins to cast Plane Shift, focusing his Cloak of Face Seasons. You all eat a leaf, focusing on the summer court, wherever that might be, and hoping that you can get there. The ground seems to open up beneath you, pulling its way towards you, as well as you kind of almost moving down towards it. And as you are all sucked into the earth and into the forest and through the leaves, Zook, you notice as the crowd that have gathered watch on, you lock eyes with one person in the crowd. I mean, the others are looking, maybe Ruthus, you see Varian is like just drinking and kind of waving by and shouts like, "If you need me, I shall come," or whatever. And there's various other people. But Zook, you catch eyes with someone crying, tears just pouring down their face, their eyes almost bloodshot, Elgrin stands crying and mouths something to you. I'd like you to roll me a perception check.
Oh fuck.
Oh God.
Oh, what's
Don't
this?
be bad. Don't. I don't. Oh, it's a
Hopefully
natural
it's I'll
18.
miss you.
A natural 18.
33.
Ooh.
You read his lips, which he has said, "I will miss you so much. I will miss you all."
Fuck.
Oh fuck.
You are sucked into the earth, and you have that horrible ripping gut sensation within you as you are kind of thrust between realms for a time. You see glances of what look to be beautiful, luscious forests before you. The sun high in the sky, beating down on the summer hills. You see people moving within the forest, people dancing and laughing, cackling, joking. You hear great music. You smell the scent of the summer court before you. But before you can reach out towards it, something else howls through this void. A voice, dark, guttural, beast-like. A beast injured and angry calls to you, and you feel yourself pulled in the opposite direction, away from this nice summer kingdom. It becomes deathly cold around you. Ice begins to crystallize on your clothes until you feel yourself fall forwards down into a deep snowdrift.
Oh dear.
Find yourself You find yourself pushing up from the snow and the dark snowdrifts. You can see you all together are at least waist deep on the humans, so, you know, up to the shoulders, in pillowy blankets of snow. Tall trees bend upwards around you with the weight of all of this snowdrift upon it. Small crystals fall from the air. All is deathly silent. And the moon above you is large and full and creamy white, casting a pale moonlight on everything, a stillness, a quietness. Dylan, you find yourself stronger, more animalistic. You cannot help but be pushed into your werewolf form. Your hybrid form is even further into the bestial than you have ever been. But you can control it. You look round and see that Dylan stands a good foot above the rest of you, hunched over. His form actually changed and shifted with the light of a different moon.
Oh.
You hear it again. A howling. A bestial howl. Zook, roll me a nature check or a animal handling check.
I'll do animal handling. It's a 19.
The barking of a dog far away, I hear.
Oh, sorry. That's on my end.
It's okay.
They're lovely.
Beast stairs.
What did you get, sorry?
A 19.
A 19. This creature, whatever it is howling in pain, emotional pain, anguish and despair, as well as anger and revenge. You feel this all in the way that this guttural howl casts across this wintry forest.
Can we all hear it?
Does
You can
Dylan
all hear
recognize the howl? Does he
Can
recognize...
I hear what it says? Because I can use beast speech.
It's not saying anything. It's a howl of emotion and pain and anger.
Oh, okay.
Dylan, you don't. It's not. It doesn't sound werewolf like. It's bestial, but it is unlike anything you've ever heard. There's almost like multiple different voices kind of combined into this one howl. Different beasts of different types. You can see a ways off. The snow has melted around certain trees. They're blackened and charred and very different to the others. And as you follow them, or at least follow them with your eyes through the woods, they almost seem like a perfect path leading you onwards.
Zook twitches his newly regrown ears. Does he know what direction the howling is coming from?
It's coming from the direction of the charred trees. But east, west, south, north, none of that exists here.
Okay. He's kind of
sort of starts to like pad forward and almost kind of lollops onto his forelegs.
The wind blows up around you, Dylan. A snowdrift kind of pushed to the side as something large and white lands right before you and looks up, turning its head round. A huge, giant owl sits in the woods in front of you. But you know this owl. This owl is your friend. Ook sits in front, in the middle of this glade, and just brushes off some of the snow, tilting his head towards you.
It's the evolved form.
Dylan starts to like pad forward, sort of. You see the shake of he's so far into his werewolf form that he's moving like a wolf, and he sniffs the air, catching the scent of his friend. His head shakes, as would a wolf, as it's intently sort of learning the sense of this creature. And as he approaches, he just licks a few feathers and sort of looks lovingly into this companion that he's known for many moons now. And he sort of looks back to his friends expectantly and warmly.
There's a crystallization that kind of coats around your vision, Dylan. In that black, empty space where your sight used to be, you see these pinpricks of light. You don't feel them, you see them. Almost like ice is frosting away a piece of glass and slowly melting. And you blink. The blackness around his eyes begins to fade. And the wolf's eyes take over. And you stare and see your friends for the first time in a long time. You have your vision back while you were in the Fae.
Turning away from Ook, he just goes up to his brother and just kind of amazedly he just puts a hand on his shoulder and just looks at his face, just studying his face intently, just drinking it in, making the most of it. And then he just turns to each of his friends in turn and does the exact same thing, just really treasuring this moment, as all he's known for several months now has been this sort of interpretation of reality. Which gives
fucking dog breath.
Ook flaps up and begins banking up over the trees in the direction of these charred trees.
Zook, having the vision of Elgrin's supposed warning, or whatever it was, still fresh in his mind, he turns to everyone and just says, I propose caution. This land is full of things that will beguile you, that will make you believe that they are your best friend and could be your worst enemy. Everything wants to trick you. Everything wants to make you laugh and cry and possibly sink into the ground dead. Please be careful.
Rufus nods and says, I can contest, friends. This is a place where you may lose yourself and not remember who you are. From what I remember, this is not the summer court where we are.
Yeah, you have good knowledge of the Fae, Rufus. Knowledge from the outside. And having obviously been here but forgotten everything, like none of that knowledge has returned to you suddenly coming here, but there is something incredibly familiar about where you are. Like the feel of your surroundings and the feel of this, this different place is like it's like having full nostalgia and what's the thing that you get when you
Deja vu.
It's like having deja vu continuously.
Rufus actually sort of gives Richter a worried look. Oh, actually, no, he doesn't.
Oh.
That was confusing.
Because you're not a human anymore.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No one is anymore. No one is.
Wait, why would that be a thing?
Because humans can't remember when they come back. Because they don't have any Fey ancestry.
Basic.
So gnomes and elves will retain their memories, whereas the others have sort of an in-between, and humans just fucking can't remember a thing. So, yeah, safe in the knowledge, Rufus, that you are now a gnome and will retain this information. You push on, following Ook above. You follow these charred trees, and the forest it's snowy, but it is dense and thick. You can feel heat emanating off these like charred trees around you, sort of melting the ground, melting the ice sort of away from them. They drip with the wetness that did exist from them.
How hot are they?
To the touch, it's like if you've ever poured water on a fire while you're trying to put it out, and you think, oh, this bit of wood, these embers are out, and if you picked it up, it'd still be fucking hot. They're wet, but they're hot. You can even see like cracks where like the heat is coming from and out. Red dagger-shaped leaves have fallen off them and kind of line the ground, almost like a carpet, leading you through this snowy forest. There's a glow that kind of comes off them and glows around, bouncing off the snow. It's like a reddish, unsettling hue. And it doesn't feel right. Feels wrong. And as you move deeper between these charcoal black trees, the air grows warm and thick, opposite to that of the freezing, frigid cold you previously experienced. Zook, occasionally you catch sight of dark spiders here and there, crawling around between the canopy. Their needle-like legs leave a trail of hot embers where they walk.
Ooh.
A clearing opens up, the red carpet dissolving into blackened soil and scorched grass, and a small mound with what looks to be a fallen tree sits in front of this, like in this sort of glade. You can hear the howling and wailing and barking of whatever this creature is from within the hollow of under this fallen tree, where the roots have all pulled up. There's seemingly a way down and in. Smoke billows out from that hole within, and scattered about the entrance on this mound looks to be small animal bones and other sort of pieces of slashed wood and cloth. What are you doing?
Dylan will start to sort of inspect the ground around this area, sort of looking for like kind of tracks and marks of sort of anything that can suggest what it is that they're tracking. Sort of trying to decipher what his nature is.
Probably a survival or investigation check.
Okay. Is it a Fey, Fiend, or Undead?
It is. It is Fey, so you may roll with advantage.
Okay, let's do
You
that.
are in the Fey world. Your blood hunter
19.
skills coming in handy. Whatever creature this is, these animal bones look like they've been picked and broken with savage intent, and definitely with something with opposable thumbs, and something that has more maneuverability than just a paw or a hoof, for example. But you're unable to discern what it is. You can smell a sort of bad odor mixed with something bad mixed with like an overwhelming perfume. You know when you like have too many perfume scents and it's like just like Lush. If you go into the shop, it's like,
it's
oh
cloying.
geez, that's the smell that is kind of perforating, but there's like a deeper sort of sweatier smell as well that's kind of wafting up from the inside of this. The hole leading down isn't actually very big. It looks to be enough for a human or like a slightly larger than human size to crawl or squeeze down through it. But you would be wriggling and it would be tight.
Can I see any spider-like creatures in the treetops around this bit?
You can't, no, not currently. You can see a faint glowing light from within, and the smoke kind of rises up out of the hole. The howl comes again, wailing, and you hear some like smashing or crashing from within.
So this is where the burnt trees have led us,
Yeah.
and the leaves, and they don't continue onwards anywhere else.
No, they don't. It's just icy trees surrounding you currently.
Whatever it is down there, it's upset.
Can I call out in Sylvan into the hole?
You can.
And say, friend, we come in peace. We mean no harm. Are you in anguish? We can aid you.
There is a pause. Whatever's inside has registered or stopped moving and now knows of your presence. But there's no response.
Can I do the same thing in beast speech, in like a wolf's voice?
Yes, you do. You hear Rufus begins to kind of bark and growl in a specific way.
As he does this, Dylan's hackles rise and he looks intently at the moon and lets out a sort of blood-curdling howl. In sort of like response, but in sort of tune with what Rufus is doing.
You again wait. And the air grows hotter. And Zook, you begin to see spiders and centipedes crawl out from the burrow. They crawl out fast and sort of scatter around you between your feet. You feel the heat of them on you. You kind of step out the way slightly as they scatter into the snow and just melt into sort of steam and wash off. And you hear a deep growl once more.
I'm gonna approach the hole. Can I hear anything? Does it sound like they're close to the entrance, or does it sound like they're further in?
Roll me a perception check.
That's a 29.
29. You can certainly hear that there is something within, and you can faintly hear crashing. It sounds like it opens up. You can hear like movement and noise beneath the ground, beneath this hole. You can hear like snapping, like twigs sort of breaking occasionally, and then the sound of something hitting mud or hitting like dirt. And it sounds like there is a cavity within that's quite large.
Maybe approach the edge of the entrance and just again in Sylvan as well, call down. Are you in need of help? We are. We're not from around here, not from these woods. Would you need our help? If you could help us too?
There's a pause. And you hear a voice, bestial in Sylvan. Leave!
Rithis responds, we cannot. We were brought here by a force and led to this place. Show yourself. Meet us.
There's no further response.
Can I, this may be us too specifically asking to insight check, but does it seem like that the anguish cry seems to be that of loss, like they've lost a loved one or
sure, it'd have to be a high roll on the insight.
It's only a 13.
No, nothing more than you would already know, unfortunately.
Listen, there's not a lot out here, so I guess we'll just wait until you come out, and hopefully we can come to some accord. So we'll just be out here making some food. Should you want any, please feel free to join us. Zook's going to float back and just kind of look at the others and shrug.
Does Dylan see Ook anywhere?
No. You've frozen. Your video's frozen, Theo.
I don't know. I think I think the Wi-Fi is having a bit of issue.
You begin making a fire to cook or to make some food.
Yeah. Did you see those bones over there?
I haven't had a closer look. Do I recognize them from?
Yeah, you would. They're bones of small mammals like rabbits, and there's what looks to be like a small badger, maybe. Like some mice, maybe the bones of a crow.
And they look like they've been torn apart carelessly or placed specifically.
It looks careless to you.
Careless.
There's no
reason. With meta question. With speak to dead, is it like a telepathic thing, or can I get it to speak and have someone else that speaks its language ask it questions? They have to speak and understand your language. That's it. Never mind the spell. Also, you need a working jaw, like a head at least, Sure.
These bones, there's no full skulls. They've been like splintered and broken. It's like just fragments thrown out.
They are picked clean. However, perhaps this being, whatever it is merely hungry. We could lure it out with a smell of a delicious meal.
We're brought here. And for a reason. I think we're supposed to go down there, for better or worse.
All right. Suppose we'll see what's troubling it.
Let me lead the
Rufus
way.
looks around at the others. Do you all agree?
See no other option. We're stuck here.
Dutch?
What?
Dutch is just smoking a pipe. He's just like, what are we doing?
Very well. Let's descend.
Let me lead the way. I have it sent. I don't think it will be able to surprise me.
Okay.
Okay. It's a tight squeeze for you in your large form. There's only just about enough room as you kind of have to wriggle your way down. Are you going feet first or face first?
Face first.
Okay.
Oh,
You begin
God.
crawling through this dark tunnel that begins leading down through the kind of frozen earth that's warmed from whatever is within. The roots around you, you feel them writhing like black tentacles. And there's some kind of red smoke that's billowing up above your head and out. You begin to see things in the darkness. The black of the wall looks further away, and you can see the eyes of a wolf watching you. You look to the other side and you see what looks to be a vague vision of this mother bear. And the mother bear's eating a figure that looks like Dutch. You crawl further on until eventually you come out into an underground hollow. Broken wooden furniture is shattered all around. There's a small fire built up into one of the sides of the walls. And a figure sits stooped. Many blankets and kind of rags covering their form. They turn slowly to face you. James, would you like to describe your character?
Oh, shit.
You see a ragged creature sitting in the dim of the burrow. What once you recognized as silver starlit hair is now long, matted and grey, his tattered clothes hanging from his back like the wings of an old moth. You realize it is your companion, Valentine, though he seems much changed. Gone is the color and the antics and graceful charm in his movements. Now you find him still, silent, except for ragged breathing. The very air prickles with tension as his large black eyes stare at you unblinking. They snap back to his fingers as something is writhing between his thin forefinger and thumb. It appears to be a black stag beetle, wriggling helplessly in his unwavering grasp. Valentine's jaws clench and unclench as he watches it. A low growl begins to rumble deep in his throat. "Twist her bones," he murmurs, reaching up, and with a sharp tug, he pulls off one of the beetle's legs. "Scratch her eyes," he continues to pull another. split her tongue, he hisses, and each time pulling another leg from the poor creature. Ash, pain, rot, misery. The legs of the beetle are thrown onto the ground. Hate, hater, hater. He casts a beetle to one side, and his eyes spin about wildly. They fix once again onto you. There is something animalistic about his movements, and there is a sharpness, a kind of a jittery insect-like deliberation in the way his hands kind of flex and grasp for something to break. That's what you see.
As you wriggle out and stand before him, Dylan, I imagine maybe who was next coming down through the tunnel?
I'll go next.
I think
probably go
maybe standing in kind of like tension, you all eventually crawl and make your way out, all seeing strange visions and horrors on your way, until you stand together on the other side of this burrow, seeing what James just described.
Return to... Oh, he's gone. All right, who's next in? Who else is in there with me?
I think
I'm going to turn to who else is next to me and go, who the fuck's that?
I think it's Valentine. Valentine?
Valentine was like beautiful and lovely.
He was a changeling. Val?
Valentine, kind of seeing you all kind of emerge, he kind of begins to shuffle to the back of the room, kind of hissing, and he pushes like some broken furniture to one side. Get away!
It's okay, it's us.
Yeah.
Gypsies of Fortune. It's me.
Rufus chuckles and looks to the others and back at Valentine. Come now, Valentine, you jest. We've all met Valentine before. We know his tricks. And Rufus walks over to him and gives him like a punch in the shoulder.
Valentine's just going to try and like claw at him as he gets closer with his long fingernails.
And make an attack roll.
Okay. It's probably not going to be good.
It's going to be great.
That is it's a natural one, a 9. Get away!
He hisses and claws at your arm, but feebly.
Yeah.
Wait, Rufus. I don't think he's joking this time.
It's like trying to hold.
What do you mean? He's always
cat.
Joking. That's what he does. Lures us into a false sense of security before he wisps away with...
Rufus, look around. This is not security. He's not trying to invite us.
What do you mean?
Something's up. I float closer. Val, it's me, Zook. I remember all
the wretch, ash eater, bile-blooded. Let go of me. And he's just going to kind of like writhe around.
Do I recognize his words? Are they reminiscent of any kind of old like hag spell or some kind of fey curse or anything?
Roll me an Arcana check.
Ooh, that's a 5.
No idea, unfortunately.
Is this anything that Draug might have read about in the church? Anything reminiscent of anything? Anything sort of
just make me an intelligence saving throw.
Saving throw.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
17.
You remember reading about the Fae, reading about the creatures of the Fae, and how emotion is such a part of the Fae. Emotion has power, and clearly this creature calling itself Valentine before you is full of it.
As you're kind of holding on to him, the room begins to grow dark. The fire kind of sputters as if something is choking it. and even the shadows seem to shift and move in strange shapes. Lots of insects and spiders and centipedes kind of form from them.
Okay, I right in front of Valentine's face, I just say, Val, come on, remember. And I'm going to cast Minor Illusion 3 times. First one is Valentine as the cloaked soldier entering the brawling boar courtyard, kind of like tossing his hair, or her hair behind her. And the second one is her like dodging out of the way of the attacks of the soldier, of the town guard. And the third one is her like standing victorious, sort of like afterwards, just to try and jog the memory of her fight in Ungmiri and the time where she was happy and excited and mirthful.
As these images are kind of conjured up, the kind of his eyes or her eyes are kind of almost totally black, like dilated. And in the dim light, this kind of faint illusion kind of captures, reflects a certain glimmer of color in these midnight black eyes. Zook, you feel Valentine kind of still. And for a moment, Valentine watches these illusions of a much more perhaps fairy tale and heroic image of who they once were. Zook, what are you doing here?
I'm sorry, old friends. We didn't mean to barge in. But you did invite us. You left us a note, if you recall.
A note? Oh, I think I remember now.
That's right. I conjure an illusion of the moonstone sitting in the temple in...
and as recognition
Bryn
floods across Valentine's face, we will end today's session there, as we have run over slightly. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Mr. James Gibbon, who will be back next week for the next installment of the Journeyman Questers.
That was amazing.
He's back.
He's back.